when we talk about the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, I don't know if people know the genesis of the right to bear arms. The Second Amendment comes from the right to protect, for settlers to protect themselves from slave revolts and from uprising by Native Americans. So a revolt from people who were stolen from their land, or a revolt from people who the land was stolen from. That's what the genesis of the Second Amendment is.
It's a great day in Aggie land. I'm very pleased to be here on this very special morning of reflection and insight.
That we become a material, a militaristic, and quite frankly, let's call a spade, a racist society. Continue to be. In 2012, 2013, how have we changed our souls? We got more items. We use with 5% of the world's population, we use 33% of its resources. We have all that, but where have we changed? When I was born 66 years ago, over 66 years ago, there were 2.5 million people on the planet. Now there's 7 billion people on the planet, you know? And the crisis that we're gonna have, the kind of refugee crises that are gonna be about environmental refugees, dislocations, and the kind of things that we have, food security. We talk about global warming as if we can forget about it. You know, we look at Superstorm Sandy, and what happens? All of a sudden, everybody jumps on the bandwagon for the moment. You know, because we see it in real terms. But there are islands in the Pacific that are not talking about how they reverse the change in global warming, talking about how do they evacuate. Cities 2,000 kilometers north of Maputo, Mozambique, is talking about how do we evacuate the city, not how we reverse this. And yet we have this. We see the polar caps mounting, and we continue to begin to play with this dynamic, you know. And there are many people talking about this and everything else. In this search for development, of what we call development, which in some sense it's synonymous, not really to development, but to greed. And no respect for this fragile Mother Earth that we are all dependent upon. I don't care how much science you got. I don't know how much technology you got. You can't make it without this. So all those are the kind of discussions that we need to have. And King would have been right there at 84 years old. He's only been 84 years old yesterday, 2 days ago. He was 84 years old, right there talking about it, because his own transformation and his own evolution.
We are a more diverse student body. We yet reflect the diversity found in our state and our nation. So we have a way to go. We have extraordinary faculty, a faculty who is world-renowned for their education and research prowess. They too reflect great diversity, but yet they do not reflect the true diversity of our state or our nation. And so we have a way to go.
You know, you look at the Occupy movement, you know, and the first question people were asked about, and the commentators or the arbitrators of information were asking about, was that, what do you want? You know what I'm saying? And within the Occupy movement, you saw enormous things happening. You have the reimagining of democracy, this whole discussion. Even if it was a discussion of the articles that established this country, you know, the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and all those things. And one note is saying, when we talk about the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, I don't know if people know the genesis of the right to bear arms. The Second Amendment comes from the right to protect, for settlers to protect themselves from slave revolts and from uprising by Native Americans. So a revolt from people who were stolen from their land, or a revolt from people who the land was stolen from. That's what the genesis of the Second Amendment is. And people don't think about that in the sense, but nobody's going to get in the public and talk about that. The whole issue, the genesis of it. And what does it mean in the 21st century? An eye for an eye leaves all of us blind, as Gandhi said. You know, so what does it mean in the 21st century, this whole fascination with that guy? It's a level of insecurity, fear, that's continually embedded and continually seduced within by all these different other things that happen in our culture, in our larger culture, in our political culture. Those are the things that we have to talk about.